Welcome to Dorking Out, and there is no Sonia, only Zool. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Do you believe in UFOs, astral projections, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance, spirit photography, telekinetic movement, full trance mediums, the Loch Ness Monster, and the theory of Atlantis?
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you want.
Aren't we awesome?
Aren't we awesome? I love JD so much.
I know.
We are dorking out about 1984's Ghostbusters. We've been thinking about Ivan Reitman, and this is one of our favorite comedies of all time. I don't think I'm going out on a limb when I say we super love Ghostbusters, everyone. Spoilers.
Spoilers, it's really good.
It's really good. What a hot take here at Dorking Out.
We don't have to always be controversial like we are at What a Creep. We could be a little more
correct.
Middle of the road.
Yeah. This movie's written by Dan Akroyd and Harold Ramis. It's directed by Ivan Reitman, R.I.P. Ivan Reitman. And it stars Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis. How much do we love Rick Moranis? So much.
So funny.
Annie Potts.
So funny.
Fucking love her. She is the our gift for What a Creep. We got one. She's William Atherton in the William Atherton role. Walter Peck. Walter Pecker.
We'll get to him.
And Ernie Hudson. Let's start like we always do. Did you see this in the theater?
I went with my entire, yes, I'm old. I went with my entire family to see this. I think we went twice. We liked it so much. And I remember some of these scenes, it puts me back in, it's like a comfort movie. Mm-hmm. It puts me back in time the first time I saw it. And this is a movie that really pays to see with a big audience. Because some of the laughs here, like sometimes there's big pauses between things. And it's because the laughs are so loud and continuous. Like I don't know. It always made me happy. That song doesn't bother me one bit. It would be a song that would drive me crazy, and it doesn't.
Yes.
And I just love it. It's a perfect movie. It's a perfect comedy.
I think it is too. I saw it in the theater many times. I couldn't get enough of it. Like I saw the movie multiple times in the theater. I couldn't wait to rent it when it came out on video. Recorded it off of HBO or whatever, watched it over and over. Loved the music video, which is such a bad music video when you watch it. Because I just watched it before we recorded, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so bad.
But it got so many stars in it.
So many. It has all, Chevy Chase and Terry Garr, and they're all like, Ghostbusters.
And they're dancing?
Yes.
They would never do that. Like a couple of years later, it'd be way cool for that. You know what I mean? But
yes.
Just at a time when it's just dorky enough and fun enough that they would just do it. Like, this is promotion. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to get Bill Murray to do it.
That's what I mean, especially. Yeah. He's rather cantankerous.
Yes, he is. When it comes to Hollywood, I should say, he seems to be super nice to his fans.
I've met him. I have a story. But we can talk about it later.
Okay. I see stuff online all the time of Bill Murray interacting with his fans, and they're usually pretty positive. But yeah, I'm sure there's other stories out there. But let me just say, Ghostbusters fucking holds up.
Yes.
It holds up. This movie came out in 1984. We're talking about this is peak 80s. Peak 80s. And I'm going to list movies that came out in the summer of 84 at the end here. It's bananas, so many good movies. But I don't think Ghostbusters feels dated. The clothes aren't super whoa, it's the 80s. It does. The clothes don't look like that. I mean, the effects are maybe, but the tone of the movie, the jokes in the movie, I think it still really, really holds up.
I think because they wrote this for adults. I mean, kids loved it.
Yeah.
And it's silly enough for kids to get into it. But I think part of it is they did write it for adults. So there's a level that the adults are laughing at certain jokes or things, and then the kids have their Slimer.
Yes.
It's and it's honest. And this movie is ad-libbed like crazy, apparently. But they're great jokes. It's not like everything just hits. It's very punchy. It's just, it's just awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So here we have a comedy that has jokes. What a treat.
Yeah.
And I always find myself laughing at different things every time I watch it. It's really, some of the lines are really fast. Some of them get a little lost because maybe you were laughing at something else or they've moved on. There's just these things that make me laugh like every time I watch it. Like watching it this time, I was like, I think it's really funny that the Environmental Protection Agency is the bad guy.
Is the enemy.
I'm like, this isn't something I've thought about ever when I've watched Ghostbusters, but this time I was like, Walter Peck, or Walter Pecker, if you will. He's not really wrong. He's just a dick. He's just a
dick about it.
Yeah. And that was something that made me laugh really hard this time. And I like what you say about how the movie's working on different levels, because I watched this with my 10-year-old. He's never seen it. Obviously, I've seen it a million times. And I can appreciate it on one level, and he likes it on another. He thinks Slimer's hilarious. Like when Slimer shows back up and he's eating all the hot dogs, he was rolling. He thought that was so funny. He's like, he's eating all the hot dogs. Like, he thinks the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is really funny. Those things, the ghost stuff works for Calvin. He thinks it's really funny. And for me, it's the characters. Like, the characters are so funny and original. They're not stereotype characters. They're introduced and it lets you know exactly who they are from the start. Mm-hmm. And they don't deviate. Like, you get like Venkman immediately. You're like, he's Bugs Bunny. Like, he's just Bugs Bunny, basically. But like Egon is exactly who he is through the whole movie. Ray's the same. Dana, Lewis, Janie, all of them. Winston. They're the same, and their interactions with each other are so funny, and it feels right, and it just makes me laugh every time. It's a perfect movie.
I think what works is that it's set in New York City, and it really is it's a great New York film.
Yeah.
It really uses New York to its best advantage. And it's so funny how I was like, LOL, at like North Moore Street where the firehouse is, where that's like super fancy now. Like at the time, it looks all. But also, like, Dana is a musician. She's in a symphony, and she can afford an apartment on Central Park West.
Yeah.
It's like there's certain things you're kind of, but then I'm like, she's probably from a very rich family. And
sure. Absolutely.
I totally get that. But should we like start with like the beginning? And
yeah. Let's go through it.
I love Bill Murray doing the psychic tests with the pretty girl and the stressed out kid.
By the way, the only thing, if you were like things that don't age well, if you really wanted to dig deep, you could be like, Dr. Venkman's kind of a creep. But I think it works.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's a college professor.
Yeah, he's kind of gross, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's Bill Murray.
Yeah.
He's at least funny about it. He at least asks for permission. He tries to be.
Yeah.
For 80s, that's really setting a great high bar because they don't all do that.
Correct. And he's not like
touching them.
He's not touching anybody. He's not being a rapist. He's not being like, pervy in that way. He's just he wants to get the girl. It's like,
yeah, he's flirtatious.
He's flirtatious. There you go. That's a good way of saying. But that beginning where that poor kid, like,
being shocked.
He's even getting them right, and he's still like, oh, fuck off, like shocking him anyway. I'm like, so funny.
Which makes me laugh. I love it's at Columbia University, which is such this beautiful campus in New York. And so he and Dan Akroyd and God damn it, who am I thinking of?
Harold Ramis.
Thank you. R.I.P. by the way.
I know. And
also R.I.P.
Yeah, that one was such a bummer. And I tweeted this out already. Like, adult Sonia would hit it. Egon's my type. I would totally hit it. Like,
Egon's sexy.
He's sexy. He is sexy to me. Was he sexy to me when I was 13? Not at all. Sonia now is like, yeah. Janie's so lucky. Wish.
Well, yeah. So they're at the university and they're trying to come up with paranormal experiments, and that makes me laugh because the school just kicks them out because they're just wasting too much of the thing at the New York Public Library is really beautiful. I mean, everything, that stuff in the library is fantastic. Where they try
when by the way, when I went to New York, I had my picture taken in front of that library.
Oh, of course.
Of course I did. But I love all the stuff in the library. I love that there's the ghost. And, well, first of all, we get Egon, your mucus, which makes me laugh so hard every time because the ghosts leave this, like, goo everywhere they go. And he tells Venkman to collect it. He's like, blah, blah, blah.
He's wiping all the books with it. I forgot about that scene. I was cracking up.
Yeah, and he like throws the he's like, your mucus. Like, it makes me laugh. But the Ray's plan to get the ghost is get her. That was your plan, Ray. Get her. It's very scientific.
So we should say that it was originally it was going to be written for John Belushi to star.
Yes.
With Dan Aykroyd, and then Belushi died. And then Eddie Murphy was going to be the fourth Ghostbuster and had a bigger part. But then he took Beverly Hills Cop, which is on our list. We have to cover that.
Yeah, we're going to do that one really soon. And I mean, he obviously made the right choice. Like, Beverly Hills Cop was huge. And I think Ernie Hudson's really good in this part. It's a smaller part. I wouldn't say they give him like a ton to do. He doesn't come in till like halfway through the movie, but he does get like a nice monologue about how the dead are rising from the grave. And I love his, I've seen shit that'll make you white.
He's also just sort of the calm force between with the three of them being nutbags. He's like the more rational one. Yeah. But so that was the original idea for the movie. And also we should say, I looked this up. Huey Lewis in the News was really big at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That first out was Sports out then. It was the I Want a New Drug was the song that they put that as betting music, which is when they just put music on a thing and they don't pay for it. They're just trying out the scene.
Yeah.
And they showed it to Ray Parker Jr. and said, we kind of want something like this. And so Ray Parker Jr. wrote something kind of like it. And then he gets sued by Huey Lewis. Mm-hmm. And I've always been on Ray Parker Jr.'s side because I'm like, they don't sound anything alike to me.
Interesting. Did he win? Who won?
They settled out of court. And then years later, remember that VH1 had Behind the Music?
Yeah.
They had a Huey Lewis in the News episode, and Huey Lewis is like, that guy fucking ripped us off and blah, blah, blah. So Ray Parker Jr. said, you signed an NDA. We're not supposed to talk about it. And then was able to get some money from him.
Damn.
So who do you believe? I don't know. They're similar, but they're not the same. They're different things altogether.
You know what? I just watched the Ghostbusters music video, and I didn't think about I Want a New Drug. I guess I need to hear I Want a New Drug again, and then I can decide.
It's a better video.
For sure, a better video.
But it's got Huey Lewis in his boxer shorts, which made me think things in 1984. Anyway.
Huey Lewis, very handsome.
Fucking A. I always thought he was sexy.
Yeah, and his voice was, I really like Huey Lewis. I
like them, and the News.
I was into it. I'd go see them. I'd go see
Bill
them
Bennett,
at Canocti Harbor. I'm into it.
The Joe Montana documentary, the 49ers are playing the Patriots, and Bill Belichick is the coach, and he's like, we show up there, the goddamn Huey Lewis in the News sing the national anthem.
So
and he's so pissed off about I know, exactly.
Fuck off. It's another reason to hate the Patriots.
Yes, thank you.
Also go listen to our NFL, our super creep bowl to hear more about the Patriots.
What a creep, yes.
Yeah. So they go to the library. They get scared of the ghost and run away. Which I like how they just run away from things all the time. They get fired from the college, and they decide they're going to open up their own business busting ghosts. And I do also love the scene that they go into the firehouse, the abandoned firehouse, and
Yes.
Egon's like, this place should be condemned, and Ray is just like, have you tried the pole? We should sleep here. He's like a kid. He's so excited. And
Getting 3 mortgages on 19% interest. Oh my God. Little things like I didn't get that as a kid. But or also the scene before where Bill Murray's like, well, we'll go out, we'll get jobs. And Dan Aykroyd's like, you haven't been out. You have to actually do something. You have to prove what you're doing to get paid.
They expect results.
Yeah.
So everyone has a third mortgage on their house. And then and he does say the franchising rights alone will make us rich, and I'm like, he's
not wrong.
He was not wrong.
They're gonna have a cartoon in a couple of years.
That's right. So they get all set up in the firehouse, and then they hire Janie, that is Annie Potts, who is, I love her so much in this movie. She was kind of my style icon for a while. I was doing
Oh yeah, I could see that.
I was doing a pixie cut for a while, and I had like the big glasses, and I was like, I was very much doing the like Annie Potts librarian vibe for a while.
She's delicious in this movie.
She really is. And of course she instantly has a crush on Egon because duh.
I actually would have a crush on all of them at some point.
Probably.
I would be that silly.
I have to ask you, because I wrote it down here. I wrote, Margo, which Ghostbuster would you have sex with?
It's tough. I think Egon or Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with Dan Aykroyd. I mean, and he's like my friend. He's my friend's stepfather.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I can't have sex with him.
Yeah, no, that would be wrong.
That would be wrong. I've never met him.
Yeah.
But my friend's dad, in the movie The Blues Brothers, when they're going off the stage and there's a record studio guy like, hey, I want to sign you to this record company. You know what I'm talking about? That's my friend's dad.
Oh, okay.
So he found the Blues Brothers. He created the band.
Oh, you have so much.
I have great friends.
You do.
I have a lot of secret, good, cool. Yeah, my friend Kate, when she was a baby on Saturday Night Live, they used to put her on the stage as like the to set the camera, and so she said every once in a while she'd be on Saturday Night Live. Like they would just.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Anyway, but Dan Aykroyd's great.
Yeah, I've made my choice very clear. It would be Egon.
Yeah, we'd have to fight over Egon.
Yeah, now the one you would have sex with, is that different than your favorite Ghostbuster?
Yeah, my favorite is Bill Murray.
Yeah,
I mean, he's so adorable. Everybody drink. He's so cute. He's funny as shit. He's a good physical comedian, but he also he doesn't mug for the camera. He really knows how to change his expression just slightly to make the joke. His smirk is great. He
is such, like I said, I think he's like a Bugs Bunny type. Like he's just, get a load of this maroon, like that kind of thing. Like that's what he is to me. He's just always says the funniest thing. Like it's always the funniest thing you could say in any situation. Bill Murray says it. He's kind of, he's my hero. I wish I could be that clever. But he is so good. He's so good. So after we meet Janie, and she's hitting on Egon, which once again totally get. That
scene is hilarious, by the way. So Bill Murray is it's a great shot. I mean, Ivan Reitman deserves credit here because Bill Murray, he comes in and he kind of snaps at her, you got those big buggy eyes.
Yeah.
And then he jumps over the thing that he says, I'm sorry, I was thinking about your buggy eye. And right away, Ivan Reitman comes out from under her desk. We get no context.
Yeah.
He just comes
Egon
out.
comes out from under her desk and, so cute.
Funny.
Some people say I'm too intellectual, but I think it's a fabulous way to spend your time. I also play racquetball.
Do you have hobbies?
I collect spores, mold, and fungus. I'm going to put that shit on my dating profile. And if they don't get it, they're not for me.
Nope.
So then we cut to Lewis and Dana in their apartment, in their apartment building, I should say. Lewis is Rick Moranis, and he's the nerdy little accountant who lives like across the hall, down the hall from Dana, that's Sigourney Weaver, and she finds a creature in her fridge. And Sigourney Weaver in this movie,
very funny.
So funny. And she was not a comedian at this. Like, we all know that Sigourney Weaver's funny. You know,
Galaxy Quest.
Gosh, so good in that.
We covered that.
Yeah, or she did a movie one, I think it was called Heartbreakers, like with Jennifer Love Hewitt. She was really good in that. Like Sigourney, Working Girl, like she's really, really funny. But before this, she had done Alien and The Year of Living Dangerously, not Laugh Riots, those movies.
No, she was just she's not very serious. I've seen her in person. She's like 6 feet tall.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I'm sure insanely beautiful in person.
Oh,
she's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So she wasn't really known for being in comedy at this point. She was an unusual choice, to say the least. But I think she's really, really great in this movie. She's got the creature in her fridge, and she goes to the Ghostbusters and, you know, tells them everything. And I know we're turning into the Farley Show where it's like, I love. But I love where they're interviewing her and she's got the things on her head and like, they're like, it could be this or it could be that. And she's like, I don't believe in those things. And Bankman's like, that's okay. I don't either. Because he's just like, he's instantly like, he's attracted to her. Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, right? Because she's Sigourney Weaver. She's insanely beautiful. And like instantly, like, you know, he's like, he wants to be around her all the time. He's into her and he like goes to her apartment and he's like trying to impress her. And she's like, you look like a game show host. And,
right.
You know, immediately he's like, I'm completely in love with you. And she's like, will you please leave? But the jokes in that scene are so funny. Where like he's checking out the bedroom and she says, but nothing ever happened in there.
He's in the fridge. He's like,
what a crime.
You eat this stuff?
Look at all the junk food. And she throws him out, but they do keep working on her case. Like, but that's when things start to ramp up because they get a call from a fancy hotel that they've got. Everybody knows about, you know, the disturbances on, was it like the 13th floor or something? And there's the scene with the old man. It's like, we're just exterminators. He's like,
I must be some bug. It'll take your head off, man.
They go up to that floor, and this is the scene. My kid was just rolling. Like, Slimer fucking works for kids, man. First of all, I don't think he's ever called Slimer in the movie, but we all know him as Slimer because the cartoon, and I think that's just what people started calling him, Slimer. I mean, maybe he's in the credits that way. I don't remember. But all of that stuff in the hotel, it's basically it's setting
the maid.
Yeah,
when they shoot up her thing, her cart, and it just goes, "What the hell are you doing?" I remember the audience laughing so fucking hard.
Yeah.
And then he says, we should split up. And Bill Murray says, yeah, we could do more damage that way.
That's a line that just works so much better now on me than it did back in the day. And just when Bill Murray encounters Slimer and he like calmly like gets his walkie-talkie and he's like, come in, Ray. He's looking at me, and then, you know, and he comes at him. You know, and then the whole like, he slimed me. It's just the theater. That laugh went on forever.
Yeah,
it's really, really funny. And like I said, Calvin had never seen it before, and that whole sequence, all the stuff in the hotel plays really well with someone who has never seen Ghostbusters before, because he was cracking up, and it gives us an idea of what these tools are that they're using, the proton packs and the traps, and it sets the stage for things that we're going to see later. But all of the stuff in the ballroom were like, that was my fault. That's my fault. You know, the chandelier falling on the table, like Egon, like getting like too excited and like he doesn't stop. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Nice shooting, Tex.
I like he goes up to the table and goes, wait a minute, I always wanted to do this. And he grabs the tablecloth like really fast.
The flowers.
It's all so funny.
The flowers are still standing. Just all of that stuff. And like the like really like uptight hotel manager that's like outside the doors, like just like freaking out because he can hear like things are just.
Yeah, they're going to have an event in there and that place is being destroyed.
It's so. Oh, they also. This is where they explain like don't cross the streams. You know.
Right.
Okay, so crossing the streams bad. Good tip, Egon. And they catch Slimer. It explains how the proton packs work, how the traps work, and you know they come out, and then Bill Murray does the "we came, we saw, we kicked its ass," which is again
laugh.
Such a good line. And the guy, it's so funny because it's like $5,000. I didn't know. I won't pay it. It's like so nothing. Yeah. At the time, I'm like, you fucking fancy hotel. And he's like, $5,000? I won't pay it. And they're like, well, we'll just put him back.
Yeah, no problem. We'll just put this back.
No.
I love the sequence where all of a sudden it's like they're getting calls all the time. I love this movie filming in New York. Like they're in Chinatown. And then they have like the USA Today story. And then they have, is it Joe Franklin, where they get interviewed. He's like, where is Elvis and how is he doing? Like, Larry King it's the first of many Larry King appearances in movies. The Larry King part, I just love it. They get more, and that car is great that they have.
Yes, yeah, Ecto 1, and I laughed really hard at Dana's like cooking dinner, and she's listening to Casey Kasem's Top 40, and it's like the Ghostbusters showed up and they slugged it out with some pretty pesky poltergeists, and then they danced the night away with some, you know. Like that's some pretty 80s shit right there, but it's still great. It's just that whole montage is really fun. There's the whole thing where like, by the way, this joke went way over my 10-year-old's head where the ghost unzips Dan
Akroyd, and I'm like, is he just asleep with his belt on, his pants?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, yeah, that got over my head too. But he's getting head.
Like, he's getting a blowjob from a ghost. That shit didn't. Calvin was like, "Ha ha!" The ghost is taking off his pants, and I'm like, "That's right."
In the beds next to him, yeah, exactly. That's all that's happening.
That's all that's happening.
His eyes are crossed for no reason.
Mm-hmm. He didn't get it at all. I'm fine with that. He's only 10, people. Yeah. So we get ghost blowjobs.
You get ghost sex.
Sex.
Then the problem is that they're getting so many ghosts, and they have these nuclear power packs on them. Like it is an environmental hazard.
For sure.
They're not wrong for questioning it.
That's the part that I was. This is the first time, like, it really hit me that the EPA was the bad guy in this movie. Like,
it must have been a libertarian who, like, approved the script or something. Because he's just being a dick. He's just not being helpful. He's just being like power hungry, and he gets kicked out. But he's not going to stop. He's going to come back for them. And how did they get arrested?
Well, so, he comes back with a warrant to arrest them. But yeah, Bill Murray instead of like explaining what they do or showing him the power grid that they've created, he insults the guy, keeps calling him Walter Pecker, like just like really childish shit. And so he leaves, and I guess he comes back at some point with a warrant. But they're also so busy that's when they hire Winston, and that's Ernie Hudson, who is like, I'll believe whatever you want. I just want to get paid.
I just need a paycheck. Yeah, I just need a paycheck.
Yeah. which
And then we do have the return of Dana.
yes, Venkman goes to see her. She was the best one in her row. He watches her play, and he asks her out on a date. He gives her some news about her case, like
Hittites. He's reading it to her. He doesn't know what's this word. And she's so smart, she knows what it is.
Yeah, and I just also like he reads her all this stuff, and she's like, "What does that mean?" And he's like, "I don't know." Like he doesn't know.
And I love who's the stiff, and it's the guy that she's with. Who's the nose spray?
I dated a guy who looked so much like that guy. He's totally a stiff. It's a good way to describe him. But I do love so he asks her out on a date, and she says yes. We learn about Gozer. That's where we learn about Zool and Gozer and all of this stuff. And they make their date. So where do we go?
Yeah. Well, so what happens is that the guys are being arrested, and the jail stuff is hilarious.
Yes.
Where they're going, and all this crap is happening around the city.
Yeah.
Like the ghost activities, the paranormal activities are driving the city crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So before they get arrested, there's Lewis's party. Okay.
Yes.
Because then Venkman shows up to Dana's apartment. He's going to take her on a date. Right before he gets there, the dog creatures from the building have come alive, and they're wreaking havoc. One goes into Dana's apartment and like takes over her chair, I guess, and now she's got a chair with busy hands. What a nightmare.
Yes.
And then Lewis is having his party, and I love this once again. I love the scene where he comes out and he's like, "You made a date the night of my party," and she's like, "Maybe we'll stop by," and he's like, "Okay," and then he gets locked out again of his own party.
Hi, it's Lewis. It's me.
Let
me
in. Yahtzee. By the way, my son later said she should have gone to the party. She would have been safe. Which I'm like, well, it turns out the dog's getting there too, but I like where his head's at. I like how Lewis introduces his guests, where he's like, he runs a laundry business and his wife is taking a salary from a settlement she received 2 years ago. They have a mortgage at like 8.9%. like shares all their private financial details because he's an accountant. And I love that he's always like, even though you do your own taxes, which you shouldn't do, you should come to my party. Like, Lewis is a joy.
He's so cute.
He's so cute. So the dog demons get Dana, and they chases Rick Moranis all around
Central Park.
And then Rick Moranis is now possessed by one of the dog creatures, and he's running up to like the horse, and he's like, "Are you the gatekeeper?" And the guy's like, "Hey, he just pulls the wagon. I make the deals." Rick Moranis is such a goober. He's so funny. And on the flip side, Dana has turned into like hot. Zool is like hot stuff, like sexy dress, like beautiful, crazy makeup, like fucking goo everywhere. And Bill Murray shows up to pick her up for her date. And she's like, does she ask him if, oh yes, are you the keymaster? Yes, are you the keymaster?
He says no, and then she shuts the door, and then she asks, he knocks again. So are you the gatekeeper? Yeah, he's a friend of mine. He's going to come up in a minute.
Yes, I am. He's just a friend of mine. And that scene it's just so well done and so funny, and because he really, like, she's just throwing herself at him, and like, he's clearly tempted. It's like the whole like, "I want you inside me," and then he's like, "It sounds like there's already two of you in there." It's a little crowded.
So he gives her some Thorazine to help her sleep. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to go back and get some reinforcements, but they all get arrested.
Yes.
And they're in jail. And briefly, Ernie Hudson's like, you know what, I'm going to get my own lawyer because y'all are crazy. I don't know but then the mayor calls for them And that the mayor scene is just classic,
my
great
God.
comedy.
So funny.
Just everyone should study it because it's just working on so many different levels. But he brings the Ghostbusters in. And of course, we have William Atherton as our EPA guy villain.
Walter Pecker.
And he apparently, he said to Ivan Reitman later on that he was really upset because people around New York, like kids, would point at him and call him dickless. And they would just give him a hard time. And he's like, I'm just an actor, man.
There's the whole thing is, so the mayor's like, what the fuck is going on? And, you know, Ray says everything was fine until the power grid was shut off by Dickless over here. We get the very classic, like, is this true? And Bill Murray says, yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Which, huge laughs. And there's a scuffle. And then he goes, well, that's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
This makes me laugh.
So
and then
no, go ahead.
Then the pontiff shows up,
yes.
the Catholic order, the highest Catholic person in New York City shows up, and of course they have to kiss his ring, and they're like, "What's the religious implications here? What's going on?" Because they have the fire chief there, the police chief, like nobody can figure out what's happening in New York, and that's when the Ghostbusters say, "Look, we could fix this for you," and he says, "But it's going to cost us this much money." Blah blah blah, and he says, "Well, what if it doesn't work?" And Bill Murray's like, we'll just leave. We'll go to jail. It'll be peaceful, you know. But if we do make it work, you would have saved the lives of millions of registered voters.
It's such a good line. There's a part where they're explaining, like, they're at the end of times. This is going to be an end of time, like real Wrath of God stuff. And then, like, Bill Murray screams out, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Like, it is probably one of my favorite quotes from the movie is dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. I probably say it might be the thing I say the most, other than I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it, which I say at work at least once a week. And nobody gets. But that's
Where's
fine.
that from?
When they decide to come up with the plan to cross the streams, and Bill Murray, like, everyone's like, and he's like, I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it. It's a random quote that clearly works for me.
Yeah.
So the mayor's like, all right, let's do it. Let's get rid of EPA guy. They drag him out. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to send you a fruit basket. And they get all their gear on, and they get in the Ghostbuster mobile, and let's run some red lights. And they go.
The cops send them up there to Central Park West.
And they go to the building, which now the elevator's not working, and
that's a funny line too.
That gets a huge laugh. Like, they have to take the stairs. It's like, what does it tell me when we get to 20? I'm gonna throw up. Boy, same. Have you ever had to take the stairs?
Oh yeah,
it fucking sucks.
When you're not prepared to. Yeah.
Yeah. So they get to the top. Dana and Lewis they turn into their demon dog forms. And then we meet Gozer, and she's very beautiful. I'll just say, like, with her flat top. And she asks them, are you a god?
No.
No.
Winston's like, when they say, are you a god? The answer is always yes.
Yes, you say yes. Oh, and right before that, it's like, go get her, Ray. Like, all of that stuff is it's just so, like, chef's kiss. It's just so funny. And one of the things that I love about this movie, and I've seen the sequels and I've seen the latest ones and stuff like this. And because special effects weren't, like, super awesome at the time, I love how I feel like it's very sparse. I feel like it's not overused the comedy is not based in the fact that they have these proton packs on their backs. Like, the lines are funny, the jokes are funny.
Right.
It just works. And like, you know, the whole thing about like choose the form of the destructor, and they're all trying to clear their minds.
Except Ray.
Except for Ray. And like the way Dan Aykroyd does that scene is so funny. It's just the way like everyone's like, my mind was totally blank, and you could see like Ray has like guilty dog look.
Yeah.
Like just it just popped into my head. I couldn't help it. And it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And he's huge and he's crushing everything. And to which my son yelled, "Oh no, the cars!"
Yeah, don't worry about the people.
Yeah, I'm like, good priorities, Calvin. Like, and Stay Puft Marshmallow Man steps on a church. Nobody steps on a church in my town. And they get the big fight with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
And they cross streams.
They cross the streams.
Which they're not supposed to do.
You said crossing the streams was bad, Egon. But it works.
It works. It blows it up.
It blows it up. And marshmallow goes everywhere. And like extra marshmallow falls on Walter Pecker. Just to really stick it to the EPA. Fuck you, Environmental Protection Agency.
You weenie.
He's a weenie. That's such a good way to describe him. And yeah, so they're all like covered in marshmallow, and of course, like, you know, they pulled Dana and Lewis out of the, you know, it smells like dog hair, and they're pulling them out of the statues. And I love that they introduce, like, we're the Ghostbusters to Lewis, and Lewis is like, who does your taxes? Like Rick Moranis is so gold in this movie. So gold.
There's one scene where they take him back to the firehouse and he's with Annie Potts and Harold Ramis, and he's so silly and hilarious. It's just, everybody's so good here. Everyone is just, it's got their A game going. There's no scenes you don't need. It's really tight.
Yes, it's really tight.
And all three, because I was thinking of this, like, I like Ivan Reitman's, you know, his other comedies, and like a big example for me is Stripes. That like the first two acts are great, and then they just go to Czechoslovakia for some reason, and it just kind of, and it really kind of wears itself out. And here there's nothing like that. It's just always, every scene makes sense. It moves the plot forward. It gives somebody something to do. You always have a laugh, and it's believable.
Yeah. And it's, I know that there's all these crazy special effects going on, visual effects, but I do think like so much of the comedy is based in these characters and just how funny they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it works. And I'm looking at like Ivan Reitman's thing. So Stripes, that whole last half, you're like, what? Then, as I kept joking in the What a Creep group, how come no one wants us to talk about Legal Eagles? Like, Legal Eagles is a big ol' fucking mess of a movie. You know, Twins has funny parts, but it's another one that like, it just goes on too long. Ghostbusters 2 goes on too long. Junior, that movie's got all kinds of problems, but Dave is good. We've done an episode on Dave, and Dave is really good. And that's a good Ivan Reitman. And then his last movie was Draft Day, which I really love, but I don't love as much as Adam Risky from this movie loves Draft Day the most.
And we'll see it with him.
Yeah,
we'll definitely do an episode with him.
We will definitely do a Draft Day episode someday. But I just, this movie, and it ends with like, you know, Winston going like, I love this town. The movie's so New York. It feels so New York to me.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Is any of it filmed in Brooklyn, Margo?
No, all Manhattan. But that's okay.
No, I'm kidding.
No, I like Manhattan. I like it. I love it. It's my city. It's my hometown. It's great.
Yeah.
There's nothing wasteful. The soundtrack is good. Everything.
It
just works.
It does. And to prep for this episode, we're not going to talk about it at great length because I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it. But I did watch Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I didn't like it. But other people super love it, and I'm not going to shit on it. Like, if that's what I just didn't like it. I'll just say that. There.
Yeah, which you're allowed to not like.
Yeah.
Thing.
Did you? So obviously this is the best Ghostbusters movie. Do you like any of the other Ghostbusters movies?
Not really. I really like, this is the one I go back to.
Yeah. So this is the one you go back to.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the other. I haven't seen the most recent one, the one you were just talking. I can't remember, Afterlife. No, I haven't seen that, but I've seen the second one. I did not like it. It didn't work for me. Like, I just think the original is so great.
Yeah,
and it's so perfect.
The second one lost me because talking about how the second one breaks up Janie and Egon, and therefore it's dead to me.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, the second one has like a cute baby. I remember now. Yeah, that's about it. And the one with the all-female Ghostbusters was like, it was okay,
it had
but
funny
it was like
parts. It had funny parts.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like seeing it again. Like I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it. Like it doesn't hit me the way this hits me.
Yeah, I'll say if I was ranking them. And I've seen them all. Like, the first one is obviously the best one. I'd rather watch the ladies Ghostbusters than Afterlife. That's how much I didn't like Afterlife. It's got a story for Egon that I just can't get on board with, and I don't like it. Apparently, I'm very protective of Egon because that's one of the things I don't like about Ghostbusters 2. But other people grew up watching Ghostbusters 2. It was on like USA and TNT all the time, and they grew up watching it, and they love the second one, and that's awesome.
And that's great. Believe me, the things I watched in my childhood that I try to tell people now are really good. They're not, but I just enjoy them. They remind me of a happy time. Yeah.
Yeah, and trust us, we'll do a whole episode on 16 Candles at some point.
Yes.
Talk about a movie that, whew, no, not
sir.
good.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it. It's good. It's just terrible too at the same time. There's just a lot. It doesn't. There are things about it that are very problematic, to say the least.
Yes. Yes. I read that there's a whole bunch of people that were considered for different parts in this movie. I don't know how much of this is true, to be honest. It says like at some point Michael Keaton was considered but it doesn't say which roles. Chevy Chase. I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, Robin Williams, Steve Guttenberg.
No.
I'm like, Richard Pryor.
Yeah, that would be funny.
You know, and then it says to portray Egon, apparently at some point they considered Christopher Walken. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, actually. He could do comedy.
He really can. I'm like,
and he could dance.
That's true.
He could add a little dancing segment to it or something.
John Lithgow.
He'd be good.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd and Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
I'm like, Harold Ramis is so good in this movie. But, But they would have brought stuff too. Gregory Hines was considered for Winston. We love some Gregory Hines here at Dorking Out.
R.I.P.
For Dana Barrett, it says Daryl Hannah. I'm like,
from Splash.
Yeah, I feel like she would have been a little young for this. But
she would have been very young.
Yeah. Julia Roberts, apparently, they say. And I was like, that can't be right. She would have been a fucking kid.
School.
She was like a kid. This cannot be
in
right.
Middle school.
Yeah.
No, that's bullshit. I don't know where you're getting that.
I don't buy it. And then Kelly LeBrock.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm like, yeah. And then John Candy was actually offered the role of Louis Tully, but turned it down.
Because he wanted to use a German accent and have dogs. Yes. They're like, no, it's already weird enough. We don't need.
Yeah. And John Candy is always like, I love seeing John Candy, but I do think Rick Moranis is like he's perfect.
He looks like an accountant and he's funny.
Yeah. Rick Moranis in the 80s, he did this. He did like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which, you know, is a fine little family friendly movie. And then, of course, Little Shop of Horrors. He's so good. Streets of Fire. He's in Streets of Fire. He's even good in Streets
same year.
We have an episode on Streets of Fire. I love Streets of Fire. He's really good in that. Oh, and then it says that Sandra Bernhard turned down the role of Janie.
Sure she did.
I'm like,
I'm not buying that.
Liar.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Do you want to hear about some of the other movies that came out in 84?
Yes.
Okay. These were all summer movies. Gremlins.
Yeah, great movie.
Can't believe it was a summer movie. That feels Christmas to me. But
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can you hear that?
No, what?
Oh, my phone started ringing. Sorry, everybody. The ghosts.
There's like poltergeists.
So many ghosts.
Show.
Top Secret.
Love Top Secret.
Top Secret's so funny.
I know a little German. He's sitting over there. I say that like once a week. I'm not kidding you. That part cracks me up.
We should put Top Secret on.
Yes.
Beat Street.
Beat Street's a great movie.
So all of these breakdancing movies were coming out. So we had Beat Street, Break Into, Electric Boogaloo. All these movies are trying
Tough as Leather.
Tough as Leather. They were all trying to get in on like the breakdancing. Yes, on the craze. Streets of Fire. I already mentioned that one.
Great movie.
Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock.
Good movie.
I think it's underappreciated. I like that one a lot. The Karate Kid.
Great movie.
So good. Bachelor Party.
That'll also be problematic, I'm sure.
Speaking of Revenge of the Nerds.
We've talked about that on F This Movie.
If you want to hear us talk about Revenge of the Nerds, go to F This Movie. We did an episode with Patrick Bromley. That movie is problematic AF.
But still funny. I mean, Booger's hilarious.
It is really, there's parts that are really funny still. But yes, in general, pretty problematic. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
That's something my brothers really liked.
Right? I'm like, I know so many men who love Buckaroo Banzai. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I saw it once and was like, yeah, that was a thing to watch. But they love it.
My brothers loved it.
Maybe I need to rewatch it. Purple Rain.
Great movie.
Great movie. We did an episode on Purple Rain. It is a great movie because the music is so fucking dope.
Yeah. No, it's memorable. It's also problematic.
Yes. Please listen to our Purple Rain episode if you haven't, because I think it's one of our best episodes we've ever done. Yeah. The last two movies are The Last Starfighter, another movie that I bet your brothers loved. Yep.
My brothers loved it.
And then Red Dawn.
We saw that. That's a good movie. That was, I mean, for the time. It's about Russians taking over America when Russia was our enemy.
Yes.
Anyway, I won't get political.
No, it's fine.
Do you want to know? Okay, so Rolling Stone magazine talked about 1984 as a big year for pop hits. And they picked their top 10.
Ooh, I can't wait.
This is their top 10. So I'm starting with number 10. Sheila E., The Glamorous Life.
I love that song still.
Fucking great song. Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA.
You couldn't get away from that album.
That song still kind of hits. I heard it the other day. Prince, Purple Rain.
So good.
Don Henley, Boys of Summer. Great song.
It is a great song. I was all in on Don Henley back in the day.
Me too. I had to hit that. That's, yeah. Cyndi Lauper, Time After Time. Great song.
So pretty.
Michael Jackson, Thriller. Couldn't get away from that.
No, you couldn't get away from Thriller. Nor would you want to.
No, it was fun. Prince, Let's Go Crazy. My favorite Prince song.
One of my favorite Prince songs as well.
It's just Shaka Khan, I Feel For You.
Oh, I love that song.
Dope
So
ass
good.
song. Madonna, Borderline. Great song.
I was so into Madonna.
Yeah. And number one for the year, according to Rolling Stone magazine, Prince, When Doves Cry. I wrote When Doves Christmas.
I would love to hear that version.
I actually would like to hear the Christmas version of When Doves Cry.
That just shows like the Purple Rain soundtrack is fucking dope.
That's what makes that movie great, because you do hear all those songs. It's just, and I told you before, but I think we talked about it when we did that episode. But when I was a kid, when Purple Rain comes out, and I had a friend, and I lived in New Jersey, and he would go to the city on the weekends to buy records. He was like the cool kid.
Yeah.
And one weekend, I was like, oh, so what did you get this weekend? He goes, did you hear When Doves Cry? I'm like, no, what's that? And he just we didn't have like a Walkman or anything. He just described the song to me from beginning to end. And I'm like, I need to hear this. And I always remember Phil telling me about the song.
It's the performances, the musical performances in Purple Rain are amazing.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks ago, I watched that documentary about Janet Jackson, and I kind of went down this whole Janet Jackson hole. And Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis are her producers, and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis are in The Time. And so I was watching...
Are they really?
Yeah. And so I was watching her music video for Control, and I had forgotten how much that video is like The Time. Like like Jerome is literally in the video, like doing his Jerome thing.
I'm gonna have to watch all these Janet Jackson videos now tonight.
Like
when I'm hiding from the squall, I'll watch my Janet Jackson video.
And then it sent me down a whole thing where I was watching videos of The Time and the Time performances, and I've seen them live, and they're so fun. And that's just a whole. Now I'm just dorking out about The Time.
Oak tree.
So good.
So good.
What else are you dorking out about, Margo?
A bit of a mood shift here.
Yes. But
I finally saw Belfast.
How is it?
I fucking loved it.
Okay.
I might have to own it, because I'm going to want to watch. I'm Irish, by the way, in case you didn't know, but my mother's family, they're all from Ireland, and I knew some of them were in Northern Ireland, Belfast, and some are from Dublin, and these stories have been passed around my families since 70s about what happened up there, and he just does such a brilliant job of just showing what it was like to be just an average person living in an average place, and then all of a sudden chaos comes in, and the chaos is this is just how fucked up humanity can get. It's just like it's one religion against another religion. It's Protestants wanting to attack Catholics. Everybody looks the same. Nobody looks different. You can't tell anybody apart, but people can find a way of dividing themselves.
Right.
And it's got a great cast, and it's Jamie Dornan is in there.
Oh,
He's
okay.
really good. It's black and white. Great music. I mean, a lot of Van Morrison. Van Morrison's kind of an old crank, but his music is fucking great. It's
on my list. I just haven't watched it yet, and I'm gonna bump it up, because if you love it that much,
I super duper loved it. I can't wait to watch it again. I just really, really enjoyed it. I think it's his finest work.
Ooh.
I do. And I like Kenneth Branagh a lot.
Yeah. We did an episode on Dead Again, if y'all want to hear it, because I fucking love Dead Again and Much Ado About Nothing, which I super love.
Then I'm still into Pam and Tommy Lee on Hulu. I don't know if you're caught up with that. Or...
I'm not caught up. I've watched...
Don't watch it with your son. It's not... There's a talking penis the first episode. There's a lot of nudity, a lot of sex that goes on in this thing. But it's really brings you back. It's like only 25 years ago. It's like everything can change in 25 years, like so radically. But I'm still watching that. And then A&E, talking about our other podcast, What a Creep. I'm going to do an episode on Hugh Hefner. And they have a 10-part episode. They're 5 in. And I want to drag Hugh Hefner's body wherever it's buried and drag it out into the streets. What a fucking pig this man was. How abusive he was.
What's the show called? I forget, because I think I texted it to you because I was like, is this what you were watching? And now I can't remember the name.
If you go to A&E,
okay.
If you look it up, just look up Hugh
It's like
Hefner,
The Secrets
A&E.
of Playboy or something like that. Yeah.
It's on Monday nights. They drop new episodes. And like I said, there's 10. And it's just, also talking about the world 40, 45, 50 years ago. and how there's good girls and bad girls, and you treat some women some way and some women you don't. And there's a lot of men, because his son Cooper is coming out and saying, like, my father never lied. My father was a very honest man. And something, you're going to have your own version of your dad that isn't invalid, that I could never know, of course.
Right.
But, and also other people, including Mark Harmon, were saying, like, oh, he was a great guy. He was so nice. I'm like, someone can be really nice and a fucking monster at the same time.
Yeah.
I've also been studying Bill Cosby. That it's.
Oh, yes, I watched that.
Oh, did you just want to just. Ugh.
Yeah, it's awful. And Hugh Hefner's son maybe could learn a thing from Peter Nygard's son, who is like, yeah, my dad was super great to me. He wasn't to other people. He was a monster. And how this man processes that, and it helped like bring his father to justice. It's like, dude, your dad, maybe he was a good dad, but that doesn't mean he was a good person.
Yeah, it does not. And it's like we were sold this sack of fucking lies as young women, that Playboy's great because it makes you free for your sexuality.
Yeah.
That just like nobody would be having sex if this man didn't exist and all this
right.
stuff. And it's he's so horrible. But it's I need my rage watching, and it's just, and especially like people want to say, oh, these women, blah blah blah. And it's like you also have his chauffeurs, his security guards. He had several butlers, and they're all saying the same thing over and over again. It's like, what a fucking nightmare that is. But seriously. I mean, if you're into, I don't know. I also host a show called What a Creep. Like, of course I watch this shit,
Which is also why we watched We Need to Talk About Bill Cosby, which is on Showtime, and that one is really, really well done. About detailing what he. Oh, sorry, no, you.
No, well, it's detailing what he did, and what they do is that I think really well, and it's who's the director and the host, Kamel?
Kamel Bell.
Okay. And he grew up in the 70s. He's African American. He's a stand-up comic. Like Bill Cosby's a hero to him. And Bill Cosby did some amazing, great things.
Yes.
He really did. I mean, and when they're talking all about that stuff, like they used to be stuntmen, used to be painted black. They wouldn't Hollywood would not hire a black person to be a stunt person. And Bill Cosby was like, no fucking way. Yeah. And all the money put into colleges and stuff. But I love how they made fun of his degree, his EDD. Like, that's nothing. I make me laugh. And they also, at the timeline, like they showed you, like at 67, he did this and he won a Grammy. And then they'll say, boom, this woman was attacked that year. Like, it's astonishing how much he did. Yes. Like, horrible and great. It's just, of course, he has a huge ego. Yeah.
And they do a really good job of showing like how he was giving glimpses of the real Bill Cosby, and we just weren't paying attention. So there's that too. But also just once again, the thing we talk about on What a Creep all the time, like how do you separate the art from the artist? How do you, like Bill Cosby did these really amazing things, and he also did these incredibly fucked up, awful things. And you can still like his comedy if you want to, but he is also this really terrible person who did these things.
Right.
And maybe we need more specials, like more documentary series about people like this, so that, because there's all these people that just adamantly like, they just want to love Bill Cosby, so they like, well, all these women are lying. It's like, yes, hundreds of women are lying about Bill Cosby. Like, just fucking like Bill Cosby if you want to, but it doesn't mean that these women are lying. It's like, ugh. Yeah. I have the exact opposite of these serious things for what I'm
good. Yeah, mine was pretty heavy.
Well, the first one is Ali Wong has a new special on Netflix, and I laugh my ass off. I think it's really, really funny. So I recommend that one. But the big one I really want to talk about is I went to the Alamo Drafthouse finally after 2 long years. And what brought me back to the Alamo Drafthouse? Jackass Forever.
How many people were in the theater?
There were 4 other people, because I went on Super Bowl Sunday. And my friend Beegs and I went, and there was a couple sitting kind of down front and another couple sitting way over on the other side of us. And look, I'm not going to pretend that Jackass Forever is anything other than what it is. It is 90 minutes of dudes getting hit in the fucking balls. That's all it is. And I'm fine with it. I think the Jackass movies are really, really funny. Yes, you see a lot of penises. Yes, there's a lot of shit and farts, and it's fucking gross and childish, and it makes me laugh really hard.
We need that.
We need it. And it's not just, I mean, it is 90 minutes of dudes just kicking each other in the balls, but also like they are friends and there's like a friendly camaraderie that comes with it. Like we make sure to see them like hugging afterwards. Like, I got you good. Like that sort of thing. It's funny. And I like that these dudes are in their 50s now. They're like, yes. I'm like, I don't understand how they can do some of the things they're doing because I'm someone who fractured both her elbows walking her dog. So I don't know how these dudes can do the stunts they do without breaking bones. And sometimes they do get hurt. Like Johnny Knoxville gets fucked up in this movie because he like does some stunt with a bull and he gets a concussion. That shit's serious. But they also recruit in some younger people to do some of the more dangerous stuff. And they brought in women. There's women in here and people of color. What? So it's not just a bunch of white dudes kicking each other in the balls. There's women and people of color in there too, kicking each other in the balls and there's a lot of shit in here with fucking spiders, by the way.
Ooh, no thank you.
I would rather die than have a spider even look at me. There's a thing with scorpions. There's a lot of things with snakes. It can be very traumatic for people, but I think Jackass Forever is really funny. It works for me. And it was great to be back, and going to the Alamo is my happy place, and to go on Super Bowl Sunday when I know the theater is going to be empty. It was empty. It was the best. I went to the little bar beforehand and had a drink because there was nobody in it. It was awesome. I loved it. Have you seen the Jackass movies?
Oh, I love the Jackass movies. I think the first one's my favorite. And you're on the DVD box. So you should tell them.
So for people who don't know, I used to work in newspapers, and I used to work as a TV critic for the San Francisco Examiner. And we had a movie critic who didn't want to review the first Jackass movie. I guess he thought it was beneath him or whatever. And they were like, let's just give it to the TV critic. And I was like, sure. So I went. I laughed really, really fucking hard. I literally laughed until my sides hurt. How often does that happen in a movie? Not very often. So I gave it 4 stars. I was never asked to review a movie again, but my name is on the DVD. So you'll see if you have the DVD, it says like 4 stars. I think it says, I never laughed so hard in the theater, Sonia Mansfield, San Francisco Examiner. I'm fucking famous. I'm famous.
That's amazing.
But I think it's fun to see it with an audience. I know that like that's hard for people right now to get into the theater and see movies. And I was glad to see it, even with like 4 other people, just other people screaming. Like we were all just, no, ew, gross. Bleh. Like it was really fun. Recommend.
Oh, I totally, I'm on board. When it streams, I'm not going to pay $20 for that. But that's just a hard no for me.
I get it.
But I might go see actually Belfast in the theater. My friend wants to see it in the theater. She won't stream it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
I doubt that's going to be like packed. Like, oh, everybody, let's go see the Belfast movie.
I'm thinking about going to see Licorice Pizza in the theater because that is.
I know, same.
Yeah, because it's playing at the Alamo, so I'm like, maybe I can. Also, and they added vegan pizza to their menu, so I don't need anything else. There's vegan pizza and beer and movies. Fucking moving in. I'm gonna pack a bag.
I forgot to tell you my story.
Tell me your story.
Okay. So I think I said it's Godfather. That's Dan Aykroyd's my friend's Godfather.
Yes.
I don't know if I said stepfather before. That was bothering me because that's not true. So I worked on a movie, not to brag, but it's called Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag.
I know that movie.
It's terrible. It's god awful. I did publicity for it. And I had to call people to come see the screenings and say, like, this is just as funny as what was the one with Goldie Hawn and Bette Midler and Diane Keaton?
First Wives Club.
Thank you. I had to say that. But my boss was like, it's funnier than First Wives Club. Like,
You're all, no, it isn't.
But I had to call reporters like, please come see this movie. It's funnier than First Wives. Anyway, so we had a big party, and Joe Pesci just wanted a party. He didn't want to do any press because he knew it was really bad. Bless his heart. And so he said, oh, we'll do a party at the Tribeca Hotel because my friend Bobby knows the place and he'll come by. Robert De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm downstairs and the party's upstairs, and it's Joe Pesci shows up. Then Frank Vincent shows up. He's in a bunch of those Martin Scorsese movies and Sopranos. Robert De Niro shows up, goes upstairs, and Bill Murray just happened to be having dinner downstairs where I was. And I was standing by the poster, and he's like, hey. And I'm like, hey. He goes, what's this about? And I said, oh, it's about 8 heads in a duffel bag and it stars blah, blah, blah. And he's just staring and he goes, oh. And he goes, and he looks at the board and he's, who's Diane Cannon? He goes, well, is Diane Cannon here? And I said, no, she couldn't make it. He goes, oh, fuck it. I'm not doing anything. I'm not going. And then I laughed. And then he said, well, who is here? And I said, well, Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro and Frank Vincent, they just all got here. And he says, Bobby's here? De Niro. And I said, yeah, he's upstairs. I said, do you want to come up and say hi to him? And he says, well, I don't want to make a big deal. And I said, oh, I'll make it really quiet. He goes, are you sure? And I'm like, do you doubt my power? I actually was very funny in a moment in front of him. And he just looks at me and goes, go. So he follows me up the stairs. As I'm going up the stairs, there's a big poster of the movie, 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag. And there's Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Frank Vincent. And they're all posing for photographers going, I killed him in Goodfellas. I whacked him in this and I whacked him in that. And they were all joking with each other and having the best time. And then I just walked to the side and I said to Robert De Niro's assistant, I'm like, hey, Bill Murray wants to say hi to her. She goes, oh, okay, cool. I'll get him right now. And I felt very cool at Insider because I got them to hang out together.
You are very cool.
Sometimes I can be.
Not sometimes, always.
That's my big story. You had us wait all this time.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
All these ads, everything, just to get to the Bill Murray story.
Someday we'll
he's very tall.
Someday, is he?
Yeah, he's really tall.
You know what? He must be, because Sigourney Weaver's super tall too.
She's like 6 foot. Yeah, he's a tall one.
Interesting. Is Bill Murray good looking in person?
He has charisma. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd hit it. I wouldn't. He's my type, though. I like the dorky kind of Irish guys, like dark hair and light eyes, and
I get it.
You know, the whole thing in the movie Ghostbusters, when they're in Lincoln Center and he's dancing around the fountain, that goofy little jig that he does, that's like, that'll make me drop my drawers, like right there. Like, I'm kind of like, yeah.
Funny guys are really my type too. So
he's quick. He's very naturally funny and very quick. And like in a second, I was kind of like, huh, yeah, all right. If you were to say to me, like, you want to leave? Like, yeah, I worked for a lady who had irritable bowel syndrome. She used to fart a lot, and it was a studio office. Bless her heart. But she would always like say it's funnier than First Wives Club. And I had to say it because she could hear me talk. And I'm like, I feel like an asshole.
That sucks. But anyway, you got to meet Bill Murray.
Fucking A.
Yeah. Margo, where can people find your cool ass on the internet?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brooklyn Fitchick. My site is brooklynfitchick.com. And my TikTok that I'm occasionally attending to is at Margo Donahue.
And if you like the sound of our voices, and I'm sure you do because we're a goddamn delight, we also host a podcast called What a Creep, where we talk about creeps of the past and the present. We mentioned it earlier in the show. Join us. It's super fun. You can find me at thesoniashow.com, where I am actually writing again. The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok. And if you like dorking out and you want some stickers, you can email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. They're really cute. We take requests. If you want to email us some requests, we love requests. Or you could tweet or post on our Instagram, or I don't really check our Facebook, but you could post it on our Facebook and I'll try to pay attention. Or you could join the What a Creep group if you're a fan of both. That's okay. And Dorking Out Show is on Twitter and Instagram. This was really fun. I am so glad that we decided to do Ghostbusters.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Who does your taxes?